Hi, Peter Charles here, Hooked for Life Fly Fishing. And today we're going to look at pre-assembling feather wings for use on Carrie Stevens style feather wing streamers. Now, as I've said many times in the past, I tie fishing flies, not elegant works of art. So this is going to be a somewhat quick method of doing it. I'm not going to be very painstaking about it. It's the idea of getting a reasonably good-looking fly out of the process. It's not something I'm going to put on eBay to sell, but it's going to catch fish, and that's the important thing. So let's look at some of the considerations on how we're going to put together a couple of feather wings. We're going to put two halves in. I've already done this one here, and this is both halves, and I've just stuck them together for the sake of argument. It's got 4 hackles. I've got the pheasant tail tips, and I've got some jungle cock eyes, and I've just stuck them together like that so you can see what they look like. And as I say, there's 4 hackles in here, 2 pheasant tip hackles, and the jungle cock. So basically we're putting that together, and you've got a choice. You can leave them as halves, attach them to the fly as halves, or do what I did here, put them all together and stick them on. That's the sort of choices I would leave up to you. Personally, I would tend to put them in halves. You get a little bit more accurate adjustment, but if you want to just take that and stick them on top, you're good to go. So let's get started on how I put this all together. First off, I'm going to select my hook. And as you know, I don't like really super long hooks. So this one is a 7 extra long. I don't get into the 9 or 10 extra long hooks. As far as sizing the feather, you can see that I have got a feather here that I've taped down to my ceramic plate. I got this from my wife. It's got a chip in it. She doesn't want it anymore. She gave it to me. It's a perfect gluing platform because the glue doesn't stick to it. And we're going to be gluing these hackles together, and I guarantee you some will get on the plate. So it lifts right off the plate, and you can clean the plate afterwards with no difficulty. It's a great way of handling this, and that tape comes off the plate as well very easily. So what I've done is I've selected a feather, and I've taped it to the plate, and I'm using this as a standard feather. So this is going to be my standard, and you'll see I line it up. This is about where it will attach to the hook, and you can see it's roughly a gape length or so beyond the hook. That's sort of the standard for these types of streamers. So what I will then do is I'll take a feather like this, which is, and you'll notice it's got a bit of a curve to it. I've done a video on taking curves out of feathers using one of these irons. They do depends on the feather. Sometimes the curves come out beautifully, sometimes they sort of come out. It's easier if you're picking from saddle hackle like this to try to pick stuff that at least is consistent with the curves. You can pick from either side, and so you get a curve this way and a curve that way. Pick from the center where it tends to be straight. Those are the choices you can make. If it's too curved, you can pull out the iron and try to take some of the curve out, or sometimes you're lucky, you'll get all of it out. In this case, I want curves going in 2 different directions because I'm going to have a left and a right. So as you can see, this one curves in a little different direction. I'm going to check the length. I'm going to mark the length there. And I'm going to come over and strip off some barbs. And don't get gung-ho with this. It doesn't hurt to come back and check. I can take off a little bit more. And you can see the width of the feather is about the same. So that one curves the other way. Let me check this one. Okay, that one is a perfect fit. And we'll check this one. That one needs a little bit taken off. So we can move our hook. So we have this one prepped and ready to go. What we're going to do is we're going to put 2 hackles per side and 1 jungle cock per side. I've already got my jungle cock prepped already. So we take a little bit of UV glue, and we just put a dab on the side of the plate. So I'm going to take my toothpick here and just put a little bit of glue right where the barbs are stripped off the stem. I'm going to come in with this one, which I've chosen to be its mate. And I like to use a little bit of masking tape to hold these in place. And the reason for that is fingers aren't as good as they used to be. It's easier for me to do it this way. So now I come in with my UV torch and I set that glue. Now I'll apply a little bit more. And put my jungle cock in place. Now I'll do the other one. And we want to make sure our feathers go in the opposite direction. I'm going to tape this one in place. Notice how I'm keeping the curvature the same for both of them. Now we come in here with a little bit of more glue for our jungle cock. A bit more tape. Try to line up. Make sure you line things up properly. Take your time to line up. Now we just peel off the tape. There's one side. And there's the other side. Ready to go. Now we just have to attach these on each side of the hook, and we're ready to start tying our fly. So you can assemble a bunch of these all at once, and you can have half a dozen sets. Make sure you have a left and a right side if you're going with the curved feathers. If you're going with straight feathers, it really doesn't matter as much. And make sure things are lined up properly. You don't get them. See, this one's gone a little bit out of alignment, but it's not too bad. Say for a fishing fly, it doesn't matter. If I was tying a work of art, it would matter. But you can knock them together quite quickly. You know, UV glue. The other glue you can use is fabric glue. The beauty of fabric glue is it stays flexible. The problem with fabric glue is it takes some time to dry. So if this batch was put together with fabric glue, so it's a little easier to work with, but it does take some time to dry. I actually kind of like the results from the fabric glue a little bit better than the results from the UV because of the flexibility. I can probably work with it a little easier. But there is the drying time to consider. So there we go, putting together hackle wings. Not a big deal. The UV glue makes it nice and quick. As I say, you can straighten the feathers if they're a little bit too curved. Picking feathers, you know, from your hackle in ideal places, either picking some from each side or picking from the center. These are the sorts of things you can do to lessen the amount of work that you're doing. But, you know, in the end, you can knock together feathers quite quickly and then begin assembling them after the fact. I would suggest that you do all your sets in one go, set them aside, and then begin tying the rest of the fly. And that's probably the easiest way to work. And then you're just putting the sets on as you go. This is how Carrie Stevens actually did her flies. She was a milliner by trade. And she was very used to working with feathers, and she used to glue them together with fingernail polish. And so she would set up all her wings in advance and then just assemble the fly. So there you go, assembling feather wings for our feather wing streamers. Cheers.